Working on the Subaru Forester 2015 again today. Got some more updates and advancements in the old road to kind of get her a little more up to speed on the off-roading, or at least more protected. Nothing too crazy. Not going to go like 4-inch lift or anything like that on this guy eventually down the road, but just want to get a skid plate put on here. So I have a primitive racing front skid plate, and then I also have a rear diff cover we're going to put on, but we're going to focus on the skid plate for now. So this thing came packaged in a nice little plastic, or not plastic, but cardboard box, and everything's boxed up pretty well. Comes with all the hardware. I got my own Loctite. We'll probably use on those two bolts, I believe, that are more permanent. I'm not going to use Loctite on the retainer bolts, of course, but I believe there's 4 that hold it on. I guess we'll see once we get to it. And this is the 3/16 inch. I was kind of surprised, actually, so it's the thicker of the two, but I was also kind of surprised at what models this thing fits, because when it showed up, it fits like a bunch of Impreza models, a bunch of Crosstrek models, so yeah, I guess they're pretty standard across the board. But anyway, let's get going. So I'm taking off the stock plastic skid plate, if you can even call it that. Try not to get too much dirt in my eyes, but I'm gonna save these clips for later. I took the 4 bolts off already. Debating on pulling off this front splash guard too. I think I might. I don't know, we'll see. I remember I broke this off in the last model on snow, because it had snow so high. It just clipped this right off and kind of broke it off right here. So I don't know, we might just leave it on. We'll see. We'll see if how the fitment is by leaving it on, but it's like this goes all the way up here. And these are not too bad, actually. None of these are broken yet, but knock on wood. So she's starting to come down. I'm having to use my knee to pull this thing up. I thought there was more plastic clips in this, but I got 3 off the other side. I pulled 4 bolts with the impact, and I'm pulling the 3 on this side now. Almost. Yeah, there she is. That's it. So 3 on each side, right up towards the top, and then 4 bolts. And that's the old engine. So let's give that oil leak a quick look. Start looking bolting this guy up. So plastic skid plate is off. On to step C. Thread and tighten 18 foot-pounds. So I do have a torque wrench, but I don't know if it's going to fit this. We'll see. The 2 double-ended bolts, which are these, with large diameter washers, which are these, into radiator support beam. Use welded nut. Use welded on nut to tighten into place against large diameter washer to underside of radiator. It looks like they give you a nice little diagram down here. So I believe what we're talking about is this beam right here, right by the radiator, which makes sense to me. So I'm gonna pull these out, put a little blue Loctite on them, and get them installed. Should note again that I am not installing blue Loctite on everything, just these 2 bolts. Let's do the other one, and we'll torque them down. A ton, but so this is the fun part. These are 12mm, and while I definitely like that they include torque specs, I'm a big nerd for having torque specs on everything possible. I don't know if you do have to have like a crow's foot to get on this thing, so it's kind of pointless, I feel like, in this case, but thank you anyway. Yeah. I think I'll probably use my leg. It's really not that heavy. Alright, so I got the other side started. Had to kind of tilt this thing a bit. And let's try and get this side started here, and then we're good to go. This torque wrench is a bit overkill for this job, but it does go as low as 10 foot-pounds, so I am tightening these 2. I'll make sure it's a 12 to 15 in all these. Just double check real quick. It says starts the rear bolts, tighten everything snugly to 12 to 15. So 13 millimeter wrench. And let's kind of go around here and tighten all these up. I got this at it's actually a 14 foot-pound here. Good. That's it. I will say I'm pretty good at judging torque spec for certain foot poundages with this torque wrench for certain applications, but this is much tighter than I thought it would be. You know, I probably would have stopped a while ago if it was just me, but not in a torque wrench. So that's good there. Yeah, let's do these two. Alright, that's good. Nice little Primitive Racing logo. That is definitely like a vinyl they put on for you. Same goes for this, but it's just a little sticker, but it looks good. I wish, I don't know, I mean, I'm not an engineer or anything, but I thought it would sit a little higher. You can definitely see there's a gap here. And let's see if we can go down the bottom. There's probably gonna be a little gap here too, which is fine. Kind of my first experience with a skid plate, and I would say it probably doesn't sit any lower than the stock one, but this thing's pretty sick. I like it. So we're all done. Looks good. I will say my only note really, it's well, a couple notes. Install is pretty easy. The hardest part is taking off that plastic piece because there's so many little pop plastic things. It is thicker than I thought it was going to be. It's nice and solid, which I like. Goes on easier than I thought it would. It's only 4 bolts, which I also like. Should be easy to remove for oil changes and such. My last note would be, it does sit a little lower than I thought it would. I feel like it definitely lowers the overall ground clearance, but I don't mind bumping it at all, assuming that, you know, it's actually doing the protection, of course, which is what it's really designed for. So that's my only note. It does stand out a bit more. You can definitely notice it from the front of the vehicle, more so than I thought you might. I thought it was going to fit a little bit more flush, but again, I think it sits a little lower than I thought it would. Not the end of the world, not really any big problem. Really not a huge problem at all. Just one little note to make there. So I wish I should have probably measured the clearance at the center of the vehicle before and after, but it is what it is. So fun stuff. Get up here, look at my thumb in there. Side.
Here we go.